Folks, it's December 31st and it's the last day of 2018, and it has been a busy year for me. I haven't put out as many videos as I did in the previous years, mainly because a lot of the old stuff had been covered already, and a lot of the old stuff of the beginners and intermediary techniques and whatnot have basically covered it. That's about it. I did get around to doing two goals this year with regards to teaching. I had two requests. One of them was to teach the John Joe Kelly stuff, the exercise stuff, and the other one was to teach Cum Vellum stuff with a degree, sort of an intro to that, which I did. Someone had also requested, and I'm not completely happy with it, the video I did on Tommy Hayes playing. And I look back on that and I go, that was not a particularly great video, mainly because my skill level wasn't up to snuff to it. And as far as something useful from it, Tommy Hayes has that video out there, of which he never got paid for apparently, that you can find on YouTube. It shows everything, but there are severe limitations to using that method. You may want to look at that again. I don't know if my video will be shedding any new light on it. It's certainly not as polished. But I gave it a shot. I'm coming away from that saying, man, I really don't like that method of playing. Not to say that it's not useful, only to say that it's very, very, in most cases, I don't think it's all that useful to get the majority of sounds, though it has its own particular feel and flavor to it. I'm glad that's done with. I might revisit that in the future, maybe not. As far as general Bowron lessons go, this year I cut back on quite a lot, mainly because I got a change in my job and a change in location for filming. I'd like to change the location again for filming in the future, because I'm stuck in my office to do this in a rented space. So I'd rather not do that in the future. So videos in the future might have different locations. I would like to do more stuff out in nature and out in the open, so that I could, so you don't have to look at this background, or the background of my apartment, which is kind of boring to look at. This year had some interesting stuff happened as far as technologies go. Hedvig Schach's bringing out the ISOHEAD system is very interesting in the next step in Bowron design, trying to isolate the head in such a way so that you get sort of maximum amount of vibrations and such. It's interesting. This year has been a big thing for Hedvig Schach in general because of developing that, as well as the continual work with Rebellion. And it's nice to see, Matthew Bell and Rebellion drums continuing to show good numbers and showing a dedicated following, mainly because it was designed primarily for the synthetic skins, and that's going to be the future, folks. Stuff like goat skin, especially if you're more vegan mindset. And I'm not going to turn away from that possibility in the future that we're either going to start developing biosynthetic skins. I don't know if this will be done through stem cell stuff down the road. I don't know if the same technology from the new meat development industry of the idea of growing meat rather than killing animals, and maybe the same thing could be used for the development of skins, just growing the skin and not having to kill an animal while they're doing it. And it's very thought-provoking. But that sort of thing, the future as well as the non-slaughtered methods, is going to be a big thing for Hedvig Schach and the Rebellion drum stuff in the future. And small steps this year made some pretty big leaps. The ISOHEAD system alone, and things like the Bass Monster tuning rings developed, extensions to the Coraline Black series, and of course the ongoing experimentations done with twin skin. So that's interesting. Other thing that was really big this year that came late, just in time for Christmas, was the return of Seamus O'Kane building a set of a specific number of drums coming out of retirement for a little bit, and wonderful to see that come back. Wonderful to see him and his family getting back to it, and seeing people posting about it. Seeing people on the Facebook Balron and the Irish Balron page posting about it. This is big news, so who knows? Maybe he might do that again, come out of periodic retirement, sort of thing in the future. So that's exciting. I'm very, very happy about that. Especially this could also mean in the future maybe an evolution of that design, whether it's new tuning type pegs, a new tuning system, maybe some variants in the tuning rings. Who knows what the future is for the Seamus O'Kane side of Balron making. That's very exciting. So like the two biggest names, and we got to see the return of Rob Forkner at Metloff, getting his new workshops up and running, as well as his stuff through the Bullabuzz of advertising and getting ready for the next Balron making sessions and whatever. That's exciting. I really wish I could go to those things. I'm living in the wrong part of the world, and it's so expensive for me to get out there, but it's so cool. As well as we saw a lot of really awesome videos this year with Robbie Walsh. Thank you, Robbie, if you're watching this. Thank you for showing some stuff with you and your students. It was certainly helpful with me, with my students in one-on-one. Wonderful watching that stuff. And again, the continual evolution of your playing in more of a contemporary Balron style and drawing all the cool stuff, some of it from frame drum, world frame drum playing and other stuff. It's very exciting to see the future of that. We also saw a big explosion of a few makers out there. SG Balrons popped up quite a bit this year. That was pretty big. Seen lots of smaller makers, backyard makers pop up and share their stuff online. That was really exciting because down the road, I would like to also do that. Again, I think I mentioned in an old video, that was something I would like to do. And it, once I get more of my life in order, because it costs a lot of money, to produce, and it costs more and more money these days to buy. So it's interesting to see, have we plateaued to reach a certain set of drums that are more affordable? How can we make them more affordable? Do we want them to be more affordable? Do we want them to be paid for more special wise? Like it's what's the future of how to buy, and what's the future of the market when we're seeing quite a lot of people explode into the mid-range? What else was there? Oh yeah, the Hedvig Shack charity drive happens every year. The Metloff charity drive. The Metloff charity drum is wonderful. I envy anyone who got it. The charity core line with the decorative floral stuff on it, the orchid flowers put onto the core line drums. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, what more can you do with the most ultimate and basic minimalist Balron design than add just a little bit of tasteful accoutrement to it? So it's really, really nice to see that. I can't wait to see the evolution of the core line. It's one of my favorite drum lines out there in the Balron world. Certainly one of my favorite from Hedvig Shack. And it's nice. I can't wait to see what the next evolution of that is. If some of the line is going to be discontinued, or if they're going to continue into the new year, the next few years. That's exciting. For me, I don't think I bought any new drums this year, which is kind of good for me because I kind of went off in a bunch of different directions, which is one of the reasons why I didn't put out as many videos this year. I went off in 3 different directions. One was sticking to Balron stuff, more in the contemporary, more in the experimental stuff, and then developing advanced playing techniques. I hope in the new year I have a small regimen of advanced techniques. This is going to be stuff that's more flourishy. This is going to be stuff more for the speed player. Or this is going to be pattern sets that are not going to be typical to a session. They're not going to be as session friendly. This is going to be something a little outside of session playing. The second thing I went off is that I'm still continuing my world drumming stuff, specifically with Tombak and DAF, from the stuff that I've learned from Mr. Mohammad Reza Mortazafi's videos, as well as from a few resources here in Toronto. It's been wonderful to get, especially the use of my left hand, back more and more, as I suffered a real nasty injury way back, an old boxing injury. And it was part of it was to develop that dexterity back in that hand that got damaged. Bowron doesn't really do that. So it's been sort of fun to develop that physiotherapy back into playing music again on those drums. Plus, I really do like playing them. I love the sound of Daft, and I love the sound of tombak, especially tombak. It's a completely different world than Bowron playing. Am I going to be bringing some of that into this? No, not yet. Mainly because the drums aren't compatible in the same way. I might consider adding a few more videos down the road now that I have my chops up and now that I'm a decent player now. 2 years of really hard weekly slog of playing, I think my chops are back up. So I might put specialist side videos, but they are not going to be Bowron related. So you're not going to see Daft technique or tombak technique on Bowron. It's not going to happen. And the third direction was guitars. I've finally been slowly getting myself back into throwing myself into relearning music theory that I had either lost years ago or stopped when I ended up busting my hand up. Guitar has always been my first musical passion with regards to band playing and whatnot, even though, percussion is what I would like to do when I was a little kid. But guitar is what I really got into for the first part. So I've been spending a lot of time going back, learning the fretboard, learning stuff, and having nothing to do with Irish music and Celt music in general. So no dadgad tuning. It's been a completely different world. It's actually been, 8 months hard slog of trying to learn jazz music, trying to learn the circle of fifths, going back and learning a good simplified take on how to learn better for me music theory. So it's beyond just the counting and beat counting. Now it's also for me learning how to get the most out of my guitars. I shared a few pictures of some of the stuff that I've been looking at or bought. There's not going to be any videos of that stuff. Obviously, it's the wrong channel for that sort of thing. I'm not going to be doing a guitar channel either. I'm not going to teach people how to do that with guitar for Irish music. Don't bother. There's lots of other good players out there who can teach you that. In general, for 2019, the advanced technique stuff in the future is going to be more focused than the basics. I already have a number of basic videos out there. I might do 1 or 2 recap videos just to refresh it, but that's it. 2019 is going to be far more about advanced playing and technical playing. It's not going to be about the cookie cutter beat set that you might hear a lot of. It's going to be different stuff. It's going to be stuff like 7/4, 7/8, 5/4, 5/8, that sort of thing. That's going to be different. It's going to be difficult for some people out there. It may turn you off a little bit because I'm going to be starting to pull stuff from other musics from other parts of the world. So using the Bowron in world music, not strictly Irish music. I've spent a lot of time looking at John Joe Kelly, who's highly contemporary. Ronan Snowdy, who's, again, highly contemporary, but has his own way of doing it. And, of course, the more sort of the Johnny Ringo and then the Seamus O'Kane style stuff out there that I've kind of brought in here and there. And that has been big with regards to diversifying playing. So one of the things I want to do for the future is going to be how to come in and out of those different styles in playing in a trad setting and not in a trad setting. So there's going to be a little bit of trad and a lot more of the contemporary and a lot more of the experimental. So I also don't expect to put out a lot of videos in 2019 this year. My work is very busy. I don't have as much time. I don't have nearly as much time as I used to prep, to learn and to spend time on doing videos. So I would say it's going to happen when it happens. It's going to be sporadic. I might get on a high and do 3 videos in a row, which might be good. But I want to make sure that the chops are up before I start putting the videos out. I don't want another issue like my Tommy Hayes video where I can do it. I'm just not extremely proficient at it. So again, I want to make sure that you get what I can get you of a high quality rather than just getting you something that's half-baked and half-assed. So I don't want to present that to you. Also in the future, if there's anyone passing by and are passing through Ontario and specifically Toronto, I'm trying to set up workshops here, either for the Toronto Celtic and Irish Festival or to do an expansion on one-on-one stuff. Especially if anyone just would like to meet up, that would be great. I do have my own side teaching, which is more formalized. I'm just talking about a meet and greet, informal. If you want to exchange some techniques and ideas and lessons, I'd be happy to learn from anyone who comes through Toronto. I'd be happy to impart anything and learn from them. So it would be nice to see some people pop in if possible. I'd like to visit a few other places too, if possible, the United States. Though that's becoming a lot more difficult these days, unfortunately, for political reasons. It's also become extremely hard to buy anything from the United States, especially with the low Canadian dollar, NAFTA's problem, and the current political climate between the United States and Canada. That's not particularly... it's warm, but it's not particularly... It's lukewarm right now. As far as connections this year for 2019... I'm going to try to make it to Kraken this year, in 2019. I'm going to try to, as soon as I can set the time up. If not, it's going to be in the future for certain. But I really do want to make it this year. I saved up quite a bit of money to go. I budgeted myself. I basically have the money. I just need to make the time. So if I can make the time, I hope I can meet some people here who've watched my videos or whatever. And hopefully people I've helped, and see them, on an Ishir. That would be amazing. Plus, it'd be just great to get away from the city. I'm, on a personal level, extremely sick of this living in a city. It's been a weird year in Toronto in general. I don't know if any of you care for world politics. We've had a lot of stuff happen here in Toronto, whether it's just accidents, the insane cost of housing in here. Like, we're not as bad as British Columbia, but we're pretty bad. And things like the gun violence issue this year was a big issue in my city. I live on a big avenue road called the Danforth, which is known as Bloor Street East in Toronto. We had several shootings in Toronto. One was a very big one in the Greektown area, and that actually kiboshed a few things, as well as had one of my students move out of that area and now lives in the West End, and it's quite a trip to actually go visit her, though I still visit her once a month. That's had a big impact as far as me putting videos out and learning stuff as well, simply because I haven't been able to reach the people in my own city because of these issues. It's 2018 was for me a crunch year with regards to not getting what I would like, and being stuck in that sort of social strat that I'm stuck in right at the moment. But the nice thing about making videos is that it doesn't take long to make a video. And I can certainly make more in the future. Again, I highly recommend people also please recommend me ideas, things you would like to see. A lot of the content that is produced is out of the request of viewers. And this year I have been a lot slower in response to that, unlike previous years. I'm going to go back to looking at some of my really, really old first-gen videos and see if some of those I'd like to redo. I'm pretty sure there's a few, at least 2 or 3 that I would like to redo, but I'd like to, recover them with a better, with better lesson plan. So that's what I'd like. So in summary, 2019, more advanced videos, more contemporary and more experimental stuff, a little less with regards to session playing. I'm always taking recommendations, challenges, and or special interest topics for videos. I am not going to be including world music drum techniques into Bowron playing, though I am going to do Bowron playing in some of the world musics. I'm also going to show some minor stuff with regards to maybe Daft playing if you're interested in frame drum, and Tombak playing if you're interested in that sort of thing, which kind of builds one on top of the other very similarly. If you're a classical player, what you're going to see, you're going to absolutely hate what I do. But for more progressives, maybe this will be of interest to you. My WordPress account has been left dead for the last half a year. I've had nothing to write, no time to write about it. As soon as I get around to writing stuff, I will. I've just been too busy. And then lastly, hopefully I can make it to Kraken this year. If not, eventually I will be. I want to say, to finish off, congratulations to the big three folks this year. Seamus O'Kane for coming back out of retirement to produce again, even if for a short time. Again, Christian Hedvig and the continual development of modernizing and contemporizing Bowron design. And of course, Rob Faulkner being the third, coming back. Congratulations, Rob. And I hope all three of you have a lot of success in 2019 in an ever-changing musical and political climate. So wish you all the best. And to all of you who've been supporting the channel and been sending requests, emails, whatever, thanks for doing that. You take your time to even spend 2 minutes to write me something. I'm probably going to end up spending about an hour researching it or whatever, getting back to you with information and whatnot. So thank you for your help and the support of this at the end of the year. And thank you for your time and enjoying the channel. I hope you have a good New Year's, at least some of you who aren't already celebrating. Happy 2019 coming up, and hopefully yours is really good too. Thanks very much, and I'll catch you later. Bye.